Winter brings with it a few guarantees: cold weather, longer nights, a big heating bill, again, and a comic book haul. Woof woof! Hey guys, it's me Marcus, aka the Maddogg, and we're back with another video. Now in this seasonal haul, I haven't picked up as many books as I normally would, and it means I have to be a bit more selective with the books that I know I can't miss out on, but this first one was definitely going to be top of the list because it's a sleeper omnibus reprint. It was pretty much the month before it got announced when I was bidding on this, and it was going into the £200 range. But it does prove that patience is key to this hobby and being a bit more rational and reasonable with the money that you're spending, because I got an insane deal on this thanks to Baharath and the group that he's got over on Reddit where he talks about UK specific comic book deals, which meant that this book was on for pre-order for about £37. But admittedly, even the cover price of this would have been a great price considering what I was willing to pay for a second-hand copy. As well, this is a book that I've already read the first part of, but I know I was way too young when I jumped into it. But since then I have caught up on this digitally, and I realised that I did really enjoy it when I was a bit older. So this is one that's probably never going to leave my collection, and I'm probably going to categorise it in a way that's going to bug me OCD until the day that I die, which with the amount of energy drinks that I consume could actually be sooner than I reckon. But I'm so glad that I've got this book. There was no way that I was going to miss out on it, and I'm glad that it's finally entering the dog pound. The next book that I got was another one that I knew I couldn't miss out on, but I get the feeling that there's not many other people that would be saying that, because it's the Ultimate X-Men Omnibus Volume 1. Now yeah, I've said it before on this channel, I am an Ultimate Marvel apologist. I will pretty much read anything from that universe. I'm not an Ultimate Marvel delusionist. I know that there's some awful storylines that came out of that, but that's flawed logic because there's not many universes that are 100% perfect. What about the Hellboy universe? And what about Invincible? Okay, maybe there's one or two, but I will defend the first part of Ultimate X-Men till the day that I die, and I know that there's some changes to the characters that don't really make the most sense, but there's still a lot of great story that went on here that was also some of my first X-Men comics. So maybe I've just got the nostalgia glasses on, but I'm definitely not going to be taking them off for this book, because this is such an important series to me and such an important part of Marvel history. I'm going to pick up pretty much every book that they release from this universe, and I hope that they continue with Ultimate Fantastic Four. But again, this is another book that I never thought I'd see in my collection. I didn't think that Marvel would ever print this, so I'm just glad that it's finally in my hands. So yeah, already as we were moving into December, I'd eaten up quite a bit of my budget with those two books, but I talked about it in my beginner's guide to budgeting that just means that you have to be a bit creative with the ways that you get your books. It does mean that you have to sell a few books or trade a couple of them, or maybe you just have to find a great deal, or go the route that I went and make sure you beg the right people in time for Christmas. And Shadowcat's great at gift getting, but I knew there was one omnibus that I really wanted to get in my collection, but I couldn't really afford it at the time. And I'm going to stop monologuing because it's a very heavy book that is crushing me groin right now, because it's the Avengers vs X-Men omnibus. I love this event. I know some people don't, but even when I went back and reviewed it last year, I realised that I still love a lot of what happens in here. I even love the tie-ins to this. AVX is such a great and fun series that is quite dumb at the same time, but at the same time it really crafted a great story for the X-Men. It also changed Cyclops in drastic ways, and I think it's such an important book that a lot of people overlook, so I wanted to have it in my collection so that I can constantly go back and reference it. But by God, is this a whammy boy. This might actually be the biggest Marvel omnibus that I own. So I'm not going to talk too much more about it, but I am going to put it back down for my own safety. Another book that she got me when she read my mind, and yes, I do realise that that might be evidence for the people who think that she's not real, was Kieran Gillen's Die. This is a book that I had on my radar for a while. I love a lot of what Kieran Gillen's wrote before, but I was a bit confused because it says book 1, but it does seem like this series is done. But I'm really excited to see what this story is about, because roleplay fantasy games is something that I'm slowly getting into, and it sounds like Kieran Gillen's a massive fan of that as well, so I don't know what exactly this story is, but I know it's going to be one that I'll probably enjoy reading. And as well, this is just such a beautiful deluxe edition, and because I know how The Wicked and the Divine went when that went out of print, I know I really didn't want to miss out on this one. So yeah, it's a good job that Shadowcat pretty much predicted that I wanted this one, because I would have got it later on anyway. So she did me a massive solid with that one, and it was just a great surprise at Christmas. And the last book that I got for Christmas was the Pulp Process edition. I really enjoyed this series when I had it in the smaller sized hardcover, but I'm glad that this is going to be entering the Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips cube. It's just disappointing me now that Reckless hasn't got an oversized hardcover just yet, but I do get the feeling that one might come out later down the line. But yeah, besides the Sleeper Omnibus, this was pretty much the last piece of the puzzle that was missing, and I am really glad that this is entering the collection. I can't wait to revisit this. But yeah, this is a great Western story. When I originally read it, it was a nice break from all the superhero stuff, so I would recommend checking this out because it's still pretty much everything that you'd expect from Brubaker and Phillips. And also hope that at some point they find a way of coming back to this universe. The next book that I got was a pre-order that actually got released earlier than I expected, and again it was me taking advantage of another Speedy Hem price issue, but it's the Dark Knight's Metal Omnibus. Now regardless of the quality of the content, this book should not have a $150 cover price. Look how thin it is. And I know inflation and stuff like that, but because of that price glitch I paid just under £50, which I could justify when I thought about it, and this is something something that I want to review during this year's season of events. But it's weird, because of DC's release schedule, this is pretty much one of the only new releases that I'm going to get from the company for the first half of 2023. That's just mad to me, and it does look with some of the books that they've announced later on that they are going for quality over quantity, because yeah, I am definitely picking up both the Batman TMNT book and also the Green Lantern Corps series. But still, I'm just hoping that the event that's contained in this omnibus is one that I'm going to really enjoy later this year, and then I know that I'll be happy that I picked this up. But if you do want this for a much better price, you might as well use the discount codes that we've got with the channel sponsor, Organic Price Books. They've got great packaging, fast shipping, and amazing customer services, and if you use code WOOFWOOF, you'll get $2 off your order. And if you're ordering 3 or more books and you want them to be delivered together, make sure you use code WOOFWOOF, ship it together for 5% off your entire order. Don't worry, you can just copy and paste them from the description down below, and you can use these codes as many times as you like. But I also forgot to mention that I picked Shadowcat some books up for Christmas because I can occasionally be a sort of decent person. The first ones that I got were volume 7 and volume 8 of Saint Young Men. Now, as you guys already know, I'm definitely not some kind of secret manga guy, and these aren't just going to realistically be entering my collection. But one thing that I do have to admire from manga companies is just the frequency that they can print books. But either way, she seems to really be enjoying this series. I think it's about Jesus and Buddha if they were college students. Don't quote me on that, I haven't read it myself, but she says that it's really good. I also got a volume 7 and volume 9 of Monster. Now, these are the last 2 that she needed, and as soon as we got them, I made sure that we put all 9 together so that we could see the full picture that's made up with just the covers. But it's weird because shortly after we got these, the anime series appeared on Netflix, and yeah, I might not be a manga guy, but you know, I'll dip into some anime. And no, I don't just mean the dodgy stuff. This is actually a really interesting story that's got great philosophical debates going on throughout it. I also got a Lupin 3 The Third Greatest Heights. Now, this series really boggled my mind because, as you guys know, I'm a dumb reader, but his name is Lupin 3 or Lupin the Third. But then there's multiple volumes of this series that are going to be coming out. But she really loves this series and pretty much everything to do with this character, so I knew I couldn't miss out on this. I also got a Black Sad They All Fall Down. Yeah, this isn't a manga, but it is a European comic, and it really does broaden the horizons of our collection, even though it is a pretty popular title. But she absolutely loves Black Sad, and I was happy to see that a new volume of this was released. But this is also one of those series that I know that I really need to jump into, but I keep pushing it back. But if it's all in my collection, I know I'm going to do it eventually. Another book that I got was the unofficial Ghibli cookbook, and in case you're wondering, we have made exactly 0 recipes out of this so far, but it's pretty much all the meals out of those films if you wanted to make them for yourselves. And I've had a flick through this, and some of the recipes are pretty much just padding out this book, but there are still some that seem fun and exciting, so you never know, I might be upgrading my culinary skills in the near future. The last book that I got was pretty much a blind buy based on the art style, but it's Shuna's Journey. But this is a beautiful book. I've had a flick through this, she seems to really like it, and it just seems like it's a really sweet story. The only confusing thing is that the company that printed this is called First Second, so their logo is a 1, so I thought this was going to be the first volume, but it's not. But one book that I treat myself to in the new year that I really can't stand the cover of is Ice Cream Man. So I have a massive fear of spiders, so when this book came in, I had to turn it the other way on my desk. I know it's not real, I know it's not going to jump out on me, but it still just grosses me out. But it seems like this is an anthology of horror stories, which is something that I would really enjoy reading around October. There's already a 2nd volume that's coming out. I really love the art style, but at the same time, I don't really know anything about this. And those are normally the books that surprise me the most and I enjoy the most, so I'm really hoping that this is going to be no exception. Another book that I ordered from Speedy Hen was Go-Go Power Rangers Deluxe Edition Volume 1. Now, this was definitely one of the must-buys that I knew I couldn't miss out on. For years I've been saying that I wish Boom Studios would print a deluxe edition of this series because I love the deluxes of the main one. But I love Power Rangers. You've probably seen them dotted around throughout various videos. It's pretty much my go-to comfort series, and this is no exception. I know there's probably going to be a lot of overlap with the Shattered Grid Deluxe Edition, but I also just don't care. And I've also only read the first arc of this, and then I jumped out of single issues, and I've only really read what crosses over with the main series, so hopefully there's still a lot in here that's going to surprise me because I absolutely love everything to do with Power Rangers. And I have a saying in life, what's better than 1 Power Ranger book? 2 Power Ranger books. Yep, Necessary Evil Volume 2 pretty much got delivered in the same week, and I am so excited that this is rounding out pretty much the first volume of the Boom Comics. It's been such a wild ride. I didn't know whether to do a just the best on this series because I've loved it so much. It's everything that I loved about the series when I was growing up, combined with everything everything that I love about comics now, and I haven't read what's contained in this volume just yet, so I might have to crack this open pretty much as soon as I stop filming this. But speaking of Boom Studios, there was another Deluxe Edition series of one of their titles that I'd slept on for quite a bit. I even mentioned it in Whale Watch, and it seemed like Books Etc. was one of the only places left that had it, so I finally decided to get Firefly Blue Sun Rising. And I don't know about you guys, but does it bother you that this is called Blue Sun Rising and it's in a maroon cover, but then the volume after this is in a blue cover? That kind of thing just really bothers me, and I don't know why. But I haven't watched Firefly in years, and I keep meaning to go back and do a massive binge so that I can finally jump into this series. It's written by Greg Pak, and I loved a lot of the stuff that he did with the Hulk, so I'm hoping that this is pretty much of a similar quality, but probably with less Hulk. Actually, that sounds like it could be interesting. Then the next books that I got was again thanks to Baharath and his Reddit group, because there was this website located in the UK called Zatu Games, and they had this deal where if you bought 3 or more books you got 5% off. But the books that they had were already very well priced, so the first one that I picked up was the Madman Library Edition Volume 3. But Mike Allred is one of those creators that I love more and more with each work of his that I see, and they confirmed that this series is going to be complete in 5 volumes, so I love the fact that I'm over the halfway mark. And this just seems like it's going to be indie comic goodness, so I can't wait until I finish this out and I can just dive into it, because I know that this is going to be an art style that I'm going to love. And hopefully the story is going to be on a similar caliber. Another book that I picked up from Zatu was Captain Marvel by Kelly Sue. Now this was a complete blind buy. I may have read the first couple of issues of this, but I really can't remember much about it. But I've heard such good things about this run, and Captain Marvel's one of those characters that I've never really read a lot of, so I thought it was about time that I gave her a proper chance, and because of this omnibus, this seems so easily accessible. And I like that this is quite a modern run, but at the same time I haven't heard a lot of people talk about the specifics, so it's a complete surprise when I jump into it. And hopefully it's good, and I can do a review of this later this year, but if you've already read this series, let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Obviously spoiler free, else that just makes you a dick. And the last book that I picked up as part of that order was the Gwenpool Omnibus. Now Gwenpool is one of these characters that fascinates me, mostly because of the fact that she was never supposed to be a real character, and I've got an absolutely monumental video that I've already been working on for weeks, and the story behind this actually crops up in that. And I know I've read part of a series, but I just love how this omnibus has so many of those different crossovers in it. I'm actually excited to jump into something that just seems to be really fun. But yeah, the fact that this omnibus was already such a great price, and if I ordered an extra book it meant that I got an extra discount, I knew that I needed to put this in the basket and have it enter in the dog pound. Yeah, in my head I'm really good at justifying buying extra books. But then around the mid-January mark, something happened that meant that my budget towards comics got obliterated. A few years ago, Shadowcat and myself adopted this cat that just pretty much turned up on the car park one day and no one ever claimed him, but pretty quickly we realised that this was a damn good cat. But because we never planned to have him or ever think that he was going to be ours, it meant that we never took out insurance. You can probably guess where this story's going. But yeah, he started having problems with his kidneys and his bladder, and it meant that we were going in and out of the emergency vets, and every time we went there I realised that I made all of the wrong career choices. But it did also mean that I had to dip into pretty much all of the savings that I've made from this channel, and also meant that I had to really tighten my belt, so I couldn't pick up a lot of the books that I wanted, unfortunately. But there was still one that made it into the haul. I pre-ordered it months ago because Amazon had it for a pretty decent price, and I knew I wanted this in my collection because it's none other than the Ven Omnibus by Donny Cates. Now I've already done a review on this series because I read this digitally, and then pretty much the day when I finished it, this turned up, so I probably could have, you know, saved the money. But still, this is a fantastic run. It's pretty much the seminal Venom title. I love that it includes all the events. It means that I didn't have to pick up King in Black, and yeah, I didn't manage to pick up all the books I wanted, but at least my cat's safe and a bit more healthy, and I guess it is showing that there's more important things than comics, unless apparently that comic's Venom by Donny Cates, so may not have everything that I want, but I'm happy with everything that I've got. And hopefully that's the same with your haul, so let me know in the comment section below some of the books that you were happy to get over Christmas. And until next time, just make sure that you stay safe and stay mad, all you dogs. Woof woof. See you in the next video.